Hello, Alex, and thank you for joining Shoes in Bitcoin.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks once again. Alex, you have just came back from the Oslo Freedom Forum. Could you please share with me some details about it?
Sure. Well, it's the 14th annual gathering of a conference that's been running since 2009. It's one of the more prominent human rights conferences in the world, and it was a pleasure to bring some of the top leaders in Bitcoin from around the world to that event to share their experiences and, most importantly, learn from human rights advocates and human rights defenders and get inspired and also get informed about big global issues, and then learn how they can contribute to these people's struggles. It's also a really interesting opportunity for the activists to think and ponder about the role money plays in their struggle, and to see if something like Bitcoin could be helpful for what they need.
Right. Very good. Sounds very good. I hope one day I'll be able also to join this forum.
Yeah. Next year, June 5 to 7.
Is it already fixed, the date?
Yeah, June 5 to 7, 2023.
Great. So, Alex, you're already 15 years at Human Rights Foundation, as far as if I'm not mistaken, 15 years. So, for so many years, you should have done plenty of good things.
I hope so, or else it's been a huge waste of time.
I doubt it. So I was listening some time ago to the podcast and to the interview that you have given for Bitcoin Magazine. And you have mentioned about the fact that you've met Julian Assange.
Yeah.
So could you please just let me know how this has happened? And
I met him in 2010 at the second Oslo Freedom Forum. He was a speaker there.
Okay. And is there something that you're doing in that direction, having in mind the current situation with him?
We are always supporting whistleblowers and journalists around the world. So for me personally, I like to spread awareness about what's happening with him. And many other people like him. Unfortunately, he's not the only persecuted whistleblower. There's so many persecuted journalists and whistleblowers around the world. This is what governments like to do. They like to go after their critics. There are fewer of them, perhaps, in the West, fewer cases like his. But I mean, what we dedicate our time to is the victims of this sort of treatment in authoritarian regimes. So, for example, Saudi Arabia, Cuba, China. A lot of these people aren't as famous as Julian Assange. You've never heard of them before. But what they've endured is not only just as bad, but probably worse than, honestly, what Julian has gone through. And you'll never know their names, So our job at the Human Rights Foundation is to get their stories out to the world and make sure that authoritarian regimes that try to punish dissidents and activists and whistleblowers, that they face some sort of accountability or public awareness or pressure. Yes.
Right.
This is a great example. On our website, you'll see a movie that we made called The Dissident. Jamal Khashoggi is a good example. Jamal Khashoggi is, in a way, like Julian Assange. He was a journalist who was trying to champion the truth, and Julian might still be stuck under house arrest, but Jamal's dead. The Saudi Arabian government assassinated him in Istanbul several years ago. So in his memory, we made a film that exposed his murder, exposed the complicity of the Saudi crown prince, and exposed the complicity of the United States in terms of its governmental and corporate ties to the Saudi government. So that's like a really good example of something that we want to keep promoting, and we'll continue to promote the cause of human rights in Saudi Arabia.
Thank you, Alex. Could you please let me know. So I've listened to another interview, and you're mentioning that Bitcoin is going to substitute, is going to replace the dollar. So how do you think it's going to happen?
It's the long-term view, but basically I studied how the world went from having an asset money at the bottom of the international financial system, gold, basically, to today we have a debt money. We have the US dollar or the US Treasury being the bottom of or the base of the international financial system. I think this is temporary. I don't think we'll have fiat money at the very base of the international financial system forever. I think in the future it's going to go back to being a scarce commodity that's decentralized and that it can't just be conjured by anybody. Gold has a lot of limitations. Obviously, you can't email it. It's not fit for the 21st century, but it works well in certain areas because it cannot just be conjured, okay, into thin air. Neither can Bitcoin. You have to expend energy and electricity to get Bitcoin into the world and to move it around. So I think that Bitcoin makes for an excellent base layer money for the world. And I think in several decades, that's what will happen is we'll start to shift into a Bitcoin standard where it is like the foundation for the international financial system. I don't have any specific predictions about date or price or anything like that. I just think it's a likely outcome at this point is that we move from this dollar-based system to a Bitcoin-based system in the next several decades.
Right, and most probably one of the biggest benefits of having this digital P2P, peer-to-peer cash is the fact that it eliminates the corruption, which I would say specifically in Bulgaria, because Bulgaria is part of the European Union and is being considered for the country with the highest level of corruption in the European Union. So I would like also to ask you, how would it be possible if someone is willing to cooperate or to be taking part of HRF, to be supporting the organization? Is there any specific program or someone?
Yeah, the Oslo Freedom Forum. So if people want to get involved with our work, they should attend the Oslo Freedom Forum. It's a conference series that we do around the world. The main one is in Norway every May. So next year, it'll actually be in June 5 to 7, 2023. Buy a ticket, support us, come and join us. You'll not regret it. It's a fabulous event.
Thank you, Alex. And I would like to ask you something regarding the war that's happening right now in Ukraine. I'm sure there is not a single human being who likes that idea. However, there is some social media giants are, let's say, tolerating hate speech against all the Russians. What do you think about that?
Can you elaborate? What do you mean tolerating hate speech?
So Facebook, I think there were several articles, or maybe this is also false propaganda, that are not going to delete such, let's say, social media posts from people who are talking against Russians in general, not specifically and individually about Vladimir Putin, but about Russians.
I mean, look, I'm a believer in free speech. I don't think there should be hate speech laws. I think that the best way to address free speech is with more free speech. I don't think governments should get involved in deciding what kind of speech is good or bad. I think companies can, absolutely. So if companies want to say, hey, this speech is not tolerated, you know, right. I think that's their right. And in general, I think that the world should probably just sort of try to do whatever it can to stand up to Russian aggression. But like banning, I don't know if banning Russian media and banning Russians from events is really the right way to go. I don't think that has the right effect. But anyway, that's just my thought on that.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Thank you very much. So I think it's great that you spent with me this 15, 20 minutes, or if I already appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank
Okay.
you for having me.